Hi tubies, here's Alexandra and welcome to another painting tutorial. Today we will transform this little white Indomitus Assault Intercessor into this one here. Well, this is a normal intercessor, but you get the gist of it. Yes, we are painting an Ultramarine today, and well, let's get started. As you can see, I have built him, I have erased all the mold lines, and I have primed him already in Wraith Bone, but normal white primer would also work. So, and first thing we are going to do is use contrast paint. Normally you could simply use the contrast paint Ultramarine Blue, but I will use a mixture out of Ultramarine Blue and Talazar Blue. So, I think this will give it a little bit of a richer blue tone. You can see here on the base. This is Ultramarines Blue, this is Talazar Blue and Ultramarines Blue together, and this is Talazar Blue alone. So I want to go for this blue here in the shadows. So, and I have just simply mixed it up in an old paint pot. Ta-da! Take a big brush and just start to apply it to the entire miniature. This is an easy to achieve process. Just paint it on. Well, we will not use this layer of blue for the armor itself. We just want to have it in all the recesses. This is much easier than pin washing every single little crack and crevice with a super tiny brush. We would simply base coat the entire model with this contrast paint. It is very liquid and therefore super easy to apply, as you can see, and you don't have to worry about getting the right coverage on all the parts and yeah, leaving some spaces with coffee stains or something like that. That's totally irrelevant. What this contrast paint provides us with is simply a nice bluish base to work our real colors on, and to make the painting process a lot easier in the end. So this is what we are using that for. After this is all applied, I will let that firmly dry. In my case, probably I will leave this miniature here on the painting desk for 2.5 weeks, for no particular reason. But for you, this transition will only be 1 second. And we will be back in exactly that. So tubies, after, well, an evening's worth of drying time, he is now completely dry. And we can start to paint. Let me quickly take a new sheet from my wet palette here. Just taking some baking paper on my wet sponge. There we go. And it's ready to use. If you want to know how to create a wet palette, I have a video for that. Just look in my channel. So, now we will apply the main body color of this Space Marine. I will go for this color here, and as you might notice, this is not the original Ultramarines blue. In fact, I will use this color here, Amaranth Blue from Scale Color Fantasy and Games. But if you want to go for the normal Ultramarines color, I would suggest you take Ultramarine Blue from Warpaints, from the Army Painter Warpaints line. This is a really nice, well, Ultramarine Blue, if you so desire. But I like the brighter tone for that, and therefore I will use this one instead. So give it a good shake. And then take some of that on your freshly laid out wet palette. There we go. And then what we do here, you can see the miniature has now all the recesses really dark, and it is cloudy blue or coffee stained blue on the top parts. But that's okay. That's just a good layer to start with. And we will just simply paint the top part with a nice layer of your color of your choosing. And by the way, you can do this method with every kind of Space Marine out there. If you want to paint a green Space Marine, well, just take a dark green contrast paint, start that, and then layer a lighter green as your main color. For example, the Salamanders. Or if you want to paint a Blood Angel, take a brownish reddish dark tone for your contrast paint layer, and then take a blood red for that. And what you can see here is I have painted now the top layer, and I left the dark recess we had created with the contrast paint in the shadow line. You see? I can show you that here again on the knee pad. Just take your time. You don't have to rush your paint jobs. Just make it nice, neat and tidy, and the end result will speak for itself. So here on the shoulder pad you can see the layer is not 100% covering. What you do then is you just put in some water into your paint and go over it a second time. Just like that. To create a very smooth surface. See? And that's all. That's the secret to a nice neat coat. It is better to have 2 thin layers than 1 too thick, but still not covering. Yeah, as you can see, there's no real witchcraft involved. We just neatly paint all the panels of the Space Marine now until he's completely covered in his main color and all the shadow recesses are left behind. Well, this will take me about 30 minutes to an hour until this is complete, so to avoid you watching paint dry, I will skip now forward. Be right back. Okay, tubies, and there we are back, and this is how the Necron looks now after applying and drying of the Tesseract glow, as you can see here in the rods. Wait a second. I believe this isn't a Necron tutorial. Well, right. Let's get back to the Ultramarine, shall we? Okay, this is how he looks after appliance of the Amaranth Blue, and we have all the nice shading in the recesses, and now it is time for edge highlighting. So, when you edge highlight a Space Marine, you have basically 2 options that you can go. You can go with a slightly lighter blue tone, and then followed by a little bit more lighter blue tone, or you could go directly extreme in the highlight. I personally prefer an extreme highlight, so like here, this here is my own mixture, Cloud Blue. This is basically just the good old Space Wolf Blue, Space Wolf Grey from GW back in the days, in the 90s. It is a mixture out of here Amaranth Blue and white in a ratio of I believe 4:1. But you can go with your blue of your choice. Also, I have cut this color with a good amount of medium, in particular the technical contrast medium, but any kind of medium like Lamia medium, for example, or Abra thinner or something like that would work to give this, you can see, a very liquidy consistency without losing the overall potency of the color. Normally when you dilute paint with water, it has a tendency to be cloudy and way more transparent than the usual color. But with a medium, it gets thinned down, but without losing too much of the capability of the color to cover. So medium is basically acrylic paint that is transparent. That's basically it. So in order to edge highlight, there you have several different edges that you can work on. Obviously, like here, for example, the chin guard here, you can just use the edge of the brush to gently touch and go around. And if you make painting mistakes like I did just there, you can simply take later, after the edge highlighting is done, you can correct this with just your Amaranth blue or your Ultramarine blue, whatever is your primary color. So then you have edges like here, where you can't really place your edge of the brush, and there you can just simply use the fine tip of the brush, then barely touching, going over the edge and painting it like that. See? You have to see your brush like a pressure-sensitive pencil. The more pressure you apply, the thicker the line will be. If you just barely touching, go over it, just like that, and when the color consistency is right, you can make very, very simple, very fine lines with a brush. Obviously, this is a lot of training involved, and most people won't be able to do this right on the get-go, but don't worry, you can train. The more miniatures you paint and the more edge highlighting you do, the better you will be in the end at the edge highlighting process overall. Just barely touching. Very simple. So, see, I was a little bit too thick over there. I can simply show you now how to correct those mistakes. So you take your armor color, make a fine tip. Also, adjusting the paint on the brush, on the bristles, is always a good thing to do. So, for example, like there, just go in like that and cover it up. Same goes over there. Just like that. If it is not covering 100% like there, just wait a few seconds, let it dry, and then go over it with a second coat. And voila. When this is dry, you won't notice it anymore. So, and well, now's the time where you really need to focus. This the edge highlighting on the Marine is, well, crucial for the overall look of the Marine. If you are doing the edge highlighting wrong and you're painting it too thick, then it will look ugly. So take your time with your Marine, be patient. You have all the time in the world. There's nothing that has the clock behind you. Just take your time. We are not in a rush. Really not in a rush. It doesn't matter if you are taking half an hour, 1 hour, or even 2 hours for a single Marine to finish the edge highlighting. In the end, you will have this miniature for years in your army, and every second that you are rushing through the paint job will bite you in the end. So just take your time, correct your mistakes. You will be more happy in the end. So, well, this is basically how edge highlighting works. Let me finish this up. This will be a process for about an hour for me. I'm not really used to edge highlighting Space Marines, but I can do it. I can do it, and I will do it. And you will see that in just 1 second. So, Chewies, there we are back, and you can see that we have achieved a really nice, rich bronze tone with just these 3 colors: Warblock Bronze, Weapon Bronze, and Elven Gold. And it gives this Necron a really rich tone. And god damn it, I'm again in the wrong video. Damn it. Back to the Space Marine. Okay, here we have him now totally edge highlighted. As you can see, every little single edge has been highlighted. And, well, the rest of the Marine is just a finger snap away. Because, let's face it, that's just minor details. Painting the weapon black and silver, say, painting here the chainsword in black and silver, then some gray on the, here the tube parts of the armor, this one here, followed by a black wash over it. Then I will paint the pouches here also in black. No big deal. So it's a lot of black and gray painting now. And well, we will paint the chest eagle in exactly the color scheme that well, this little Necron here is. So we start with Warblock Bronze, highlight with Weapon Bronze, and edge highlighting in Elven Gold. Yeah, and well, then we will paint the trims also in the same color scheme, and the Marine is done. So this is basically the end of the tutorial. I will show you now the final result, and you have already seen it. Ta-da! This is how he will end up looking. So the base of the tutorial is just make a flat paint job with nice recess colors and edge highlight, and then paint the rest. So I hope you like this painting tutorial of an Ultramarine. And of course, then you can also add here transfer sheets to the shoulder. And how do you make it so smooth? Well, the secret weapon to use is not this one here. Alcohol-based decal softener from Vallejo. Or you could use the following stuff here, Microsol. Those are both good options. You simply transfer on the surface, and then you go over it with this stuff at least 3 times. You go over it, let it completely dry. Go over it again, let it completely dry, and then a 3rd time. And well, then it will look like this, like painted on. Yeah, this is basically the tutorial. I hope you liked it, and we see us in the next video. You, Alexandra.